at the tabs. So basically, Disney divided into media networks, parks and resorts, studio entertainment, and consumer products. And the best way to find out if your company has unrelated lines of business is to pull up their 10K. Okay? Because if they do, right, if you pull up Disney's 10K, it says on the front page, like these are its business segments. And with the report revenues, they're reported by business segment. Okay? They're divided by business segment. Yeah. So, so these are the different business segments. And then what I've done here, if you click on each of these tabs, you see broadcasting, this is movies, this is theme parks, and these are consumer products. So you can see that for the different industries, I have different numbers of comparables depending on how many I could gather. Okay? So obviously for this was I did a while back. For consumer products, I have way more than say I have for movies. Right? So it just it varied from how many comparables I could locate for each company. But the main thing that I did, okay, so let's take broadcasting. Yeah. So I run the regressions, and I take the data for all the regressions, from the regressions, and I compute the average and the median. Mostly you can just work with the average. I just always like to take the median, but you can just work with the average, which is why I highlighted the average. I have the debt to equity ratio. I have the EV over sales. EV stands for enterprise value. And if you click on the cells, it just gives the equation directly. So basically you can even use this as a template if you need to. You can just use this as a template. This column is there, but I necessarily did not use these because I just put in the results. This column is important, the total debt. Then I have the market capitalization as of when I calculated it. Then I have the sales over revenue or turnover. And these I have the cash. I used the cash. There are extra columns there that I did not use. The ones that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that I used, that I actually made use of. But I put in a bunch of data over there just because I could. Okay. Now I do that for each one of these industry segments. Okay, so like here it is for the movies. This tab is for theme parks. And see, even for theme parks, I couldn't get that many, okay, so there were not that many comps available. But for consumer products, of course, I had a whole bunch. Yeah, for consumer products, I had a whole bunch of comps available. Okay? And I do the same thing. Now, what I do is, now if you click on the first tab, the unlevered beta for the business segments, so you see, here I have the number of firms. So I got 20 for radio and TV broadcasting, and at theme park and entertainment I have 9, movie companies 9, and consumer. This one is basically consumer. This I have 29. Average levered beta. So this pulls from these tabs. Okay. So average levered beta, like you see for broadcasting, this is broadcasting. So if I click on this, you see it says broadcasting F21. What does this mean? That it is pulling from this tab, broadcasting. Get it? It's pulling from there. Get it, everybody? Okay. So broadcasting. So look at this, broadcasting F21. So if you go to broadcasting and see where is my F21 is this. Okay, which is the average beta. Right. So I just linked each tab. Okay. So I have the average levered beta here for broadcasting. Then I have for theme parks. Okay, so you can see that's theme parks. That's why I named the tab, so you know where it's pulling from. Okay, so theme parks F11. Then I have here movies, and then I have consumer products. Okay? They're all pulling from there. Same thing with the debt equity ratio. The reason why I use the median, so you see that I go from, and you necessarily don't have to follow this, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Okay? I don't know if you guys, in your work or something, if you use average and median values, okay? But you know the difference between average and median, right? What average does is, if you have outliers, okay, then it pulls your average either too high or too low. Okay, the outliers do that. So when I see that I have many, extreme values in my data, I generally tend to take the median. Okay, that's why I compute both. Okay, so if I see that there's not too much difference, too much disparity in my data, you can take the average. Okay, but if you find that there are many extreme values, it's always better to go with the median. Okay, median meaning the middle value. Okay, so anyway, that's not an important thing for you. So just go with the average. If that's easier, you can just go with the average. So the debt equity ratio, then these are the unlevered betas that I compute using this value here. So you see when I highlight the cell, so I'm using this levered beta and this debt equity ratio to compute the unlevered beta for this segment, for the broadcasting segment. Okay. So similarly for theme parks and entertainment, movies and consumer. Okay, I compute the unlevered beta. Then I do the same thing. I take the cash over firm value and I compute the unlevered beta corrected for cash. Okay, exactly the same thing. So now I have the unlevered beta corrected for cash for each business segment. Okay, so now I'm ready to compute Disney's beta. Okay, Disney's bottom-up beta. So how do we do that? So what I did was, we did this work a while back. So I look at the revenues. This was in 2008. The revenues that these networks generated. Not networks. These business segments. Okay, that these business segments reported on their that Disney reported on their 10K. Okay, so these are the revenues. Then here, I do take so that's why I computed the enterprise value over sales. So if you look at the equation for enterprise value, it is debt plus equity minus cash. Okay, so that is how we compute enterprise value, debt plus equity minus cash. And that is what I have in each of the tabs here, okay? The EV over sales. So I pulled that from those tabs. Okay? So I compute EV over sales for media, then parks and resorts, then studio, then consumer. Why do I do this? Because, remember, so here I've actually given you this, yeah. So what does EV over sales, what kind of information does it give us? It gives us an idea of how much it costs to buy the company's sales. Like today, we came and we wanted to buy media networks, okay? How much would it cost cost a possible investor? How much could it cost an investor, okay? To buy the company's sales. So this is why I do this, because the reason is it helps me estimate the value of the division. Okay, so if I move to the next tab, you'll see that when I estimate the value of the division, all I do is take this column and multiply it by this ratio. Okay? So you see, so the revenues multiplied by the median or average EV over sales for that industry. Okay? And this gives me the estimated value of the division for the broadcasting division. And I do that for each of these divisions, and here I take the total. Okay? I take the sum of this. Okay? Once I do that, I now compute how much each division, because remember Disney is made up of these divisions. Okay? Now we need to know how much each division is contributing towards Disney. Okay? And so that is what I do in the next column. So that means I do so how do I get that 49.25? This number divided by this number. Okay? So 37,278 divided by 75,691. How do I get 20.9? 15,208 divided by 75,691. How do I get this one? This divided by this divided by this. So together they add up to 100%. Okay? Once I do that, I know the unlevered betas. Already I had calculated the unlevered betas corrected for cash. I've calculated that, and I simply take the weighted average. So what do I do here? You see, this multiplied by this, plus this multiplied by this, plus this multiplied by this multiplied by this, gives me 1.1134. And this is Disney's unlevered beta. Okay? So once we have Disney's unlevered beta, we can compute Disney's levered beta with whatever its current debt to equity ratio is. Okay? So you see, it's once again, it's not difficult, it's just a lot of technical, just a process that you have to follow,
Based off your note there, the lower the EV over sales, the more attractive or undervalued the company is believed to be. So how does that relate? So would it, like within this, is it consumer? The lower the EV over sales. So that column, so column C, is that to say that consumer products is more undervalued or more attractive versus the media networks, or?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Because your enterprise value, right? So how much is? Because your enterprise value is debt plus equity minus cash. So what is the value of your firm? So if the sales is much bigger, right, than the value of your firm, that means your company is being undervalued.
Gotcha.
Got it? So think of it that way.
Okay.
Okay. And vice versa. And vice versa. Okay. So once we get the unweighted average unlevered beta, now simply throw in the debt equity ratio, use the current debt equity ratio and compute the levered beta. So, you know, like I said, if any of you have a company like this that has several unrelated divisions, you know, contributing as much, you know, so as you can see, consumer products is the smallest at 5.0%, right? It's other divisions are much larger. Okay. So if you have a company like this, you can, you know, but if you have difficulty following the spreadsheet, then you can come to me and I'll help you. I'll help you do this. But if not, then you know the other one will just work fine. The simple one that I showed you for Micron, that will just work fine. Questions on this? Yeah.
Is there a way? So when you're pulling this information from like Yahoo Finance, like
Don't use Yahoo Finance.
Oh, you don't want to use that.
Use 10K.
Okay.
Yeah, use company's 10K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do not like Yahoo Finance.
So if you have to do a comparable and you have to pull in other organizations, is there, do we have to do it one by one, or is there a website we can go and get all the companies at once? Or do we have to do it one?
There's no short.
We gotta do it one by one. Worth a try.
You can actually, actually thank you for asking that question, because you could do that. Remember I told you I was going to demonstrate a database a while back, but I haven't done it yet. But if you like Trinity, if you want to go to one place and you want to be able to pull up all the data at once, I can show you how to do that, actually. So, and I can show it to you right now. If somebody can tell me the password, if you pull up my email, I just don't remember the password anymore. Or the username that I used.